All right. Well, thanks for sitting down with me, Rebecca and Abby. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Yeah,
Good.
having a great time.
Good. We're coming to the end of today, and I know you guys have been in session, brainstorming, workshopping. Abby, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you guys did today and how it made you feel.
Yeah, so I'm Abby Zachritz. I'm mom of five, came here as an advocate who helps families bridge the gap when insurance says no. And the director of family advocacy at Support Now. And what has been this has been one big think tank. Everybody addressing one problem, not one problem, but one big idea of a problem, in my opinion, from totally different angles. And so for me, what's been super enlightening and helpful is hearing the other end of the spectrum, like from pharma's perspective, from pharmacist's perspective of when they're trying to help families get potential drugs that could save their lives or change their lives, and advocates who are having to go over all the steps. I haven't been on that end. I've been on the parent end, advocating for my son and for other families up towards them, but to kind of sit in their shoes, so to speak, and see what they're doing is super helpful. And it honestly, I feel like it's made me a better advocate, like walking away, because I now have a perspective of where they're sitting, and I have different language to have the conversation dialogue that I didn't have before today.
That's great. That's great. And so is Support Now a nonprofit? Is it there to help get medication, money? Like tell me a little bit about Support Now and how that works into all this that you're doing and learning.
Yeah, so Support Now is a for-profit for good.
Okay.
And they brought me into the fold as the director of family advocacy because they saw a gap. So they are an amazing platform that allows families to keep more of the money when they're crowdsourcing. They do meals, they do lending a hand, they do all kinds of that kind of things. And then they saw this amazing world of grants. And at me as AdvocaSea Abby, I was a part of that world. I had been collecting grants on an amazing spreadsheet. And we came together, they hired me, we built the world's largest database of grants for people. So when I say grants, I want you to think of like scholarships
Yeah.
versus like a nonprofit grant.
Yeah.
And so what we've been able to do is bridge the gap. And so, your own community can only go so far when you're trying to raise support for something, or you went through a major life moment. And so, or you get that diagnosis and now you're waiting on insurance to come through, and there's this pending time sometimes, and you need this drug or you need this therapy or this treatment or this piece of equipment. And we help people bridge that gap and get it quickly. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about our org.
That's interesting because a lot of people do need support, and there is a lot of programs out there, but a lot of people don't know about them.
Yeah. And what I love about Support Now is they really put their money where their mouth is. They built a staff so that none of that cost has to be passed on to the patient or the client.
Yeah.
And so we're able to do this for free at no cost to families.
Okay. Interesting. That's very interesting. Well, Rebecca, I know you're an advocate. You're in the advocacy space. I believe you've been part of this whole movement for a long time. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Let the audience know who you are, and tell me what you thought of the last couple days.
Yeah, awesome. My name is Rebeka Acosta. I'm an independent patient advocate and a community health worker. I live in Nevada, so I largely work with children and families there, but can help anybody across the country. I've known our fearless co-CEOs for 5 years, I believe, through the Healthcare Advocate Summit. And it's been amazing to be a part of this group of forward-thinking masterminds, as you said earlier, who are just absolutely 100% committed to true collaboration to benefit the patient and the patient experience. Those are buzzwords in healthcare.
Yeah.
And we hear them a lot, but not very many people actually execute that. So it's been amazing to be here. It was a massive learning curve for me, all the pharmaceutical knowledge, the acronyms. I think Abby and I must have said 10 times today, wait, what's that stand for? But I like stretching myself there. So the more knowledge I have, the more knowledge I can pass on. The more different ways I can help my client families, connect them to the right person. I'm not the end all be all as an advocate. It's about who I know and how to connect to what's next for that patient, who's next for the patient. So
I think what's been interesting for me, I don't know if you feel, is this okay if I?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. No, this is natural.
Awesome. So what's been interesting for me is, nope. First of all, when I raised my hand for the first time, I was like, what does that acronym mean? They actually didn't go, oh, it just means this, and moved on. They like embraced it and was like, it means this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And with that knowledge, we were able to, as parents, being on the other end of that, being like, okay, well, for us, this is how that looks to us, and this is what it means to us. And what was cool, I was sitting next to a doctor who was like, oh man, I've never thought of that part of it. And I'm thinking the same thing. Like, I never thought of that part of it.
Right.
And so now we're all equipped, better equipped to like go
I liked
forward.
earlier what you said about you have a new language. I'm a mom of 2 with medical needs, and I work with children and young adults, kids all the time. I teach educate the parents of my client kids the language that they need to use with their children to learn about their bodies, their healthcare, their disease space, whatever, and how to communicate with their medical team. That's a massive skill that most people do not have naturally. It's something that has to be taught. So today, just like you said, when we asked for clarification, they gave us the full information, right? It wasn't just, oh, this stands for XYZ. And having that, we can, as parents and parent advocates, we know what we would call it, or what it's commonly called in parent groups and other support places. And I think I was nervous, like, oh, what am I going to have anything to add to this conversation? Like you said, we're sitting with doctors and pharmacists and people very experienced in corporate healthcare, but they, like you said, they were like, oh, I'd never heard of that, and we were essentially talking about the same thing.
It worked
from
both
different
ways.
perspectives, and so to now know that. I can share my personal perspective as a patient or a parent, caregiver, and as a professional advocate, and explain what that means in a pharmaceutical terms. We've just cut out 2 weeks of back and forth.
Yeah.
That's 2 weeks that the patient is on their medication or on their treatment or with the right provider. There's so many times where the wait for something is an administrative process of some bureaucratic tape. And I think events like this, where we all get to come together, every single person in this room can work on one patient case, and we would all have a job to do.
Yeah.
Right. And there's 25 of us in the room.
Yeah.
So when we can all come together and understand the language and know the boundaries in which we work, it's so much easier to pass it on. Like the next checkbox goes to this person. And then the patient is informed. They feel empowered because they know the team behind the scenes is working. They know who the team is and what the outcome is going to be.
The Advocacy 26 really has brought, I think of it as like a think tank. They've literally brought the thought leaders of every sector together to make this process for families more attainable.
Yeah. Well, I've heard from multiple people today, and everybody's learning things, and everybody's making new connections, and everybody's like, these are my people, like they get along really well. But at the same time, I know there was some strategy and some planning and some short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals that you guys were setting out and brainstorming, like you said. Tell me a little bit about some of those little nuggets of things that you can actually implement, that you can take this knowledge back, take these connections back to your day job and apply them.
I think for me, my kryptonite is insurance. I know enough to get myself in trouble and to get my clients in trouble, but I want to always leave it to the experts. I will send them to an insurance advocate before I will give them any advice. But today I learned so much about the problems with payers and appeals and denials that it was so plainly explained that I was like, oh, this is the process. This is what goes on that we don't see. These are the issues at the payer. These are the 10 steps and just all of the 3,000 moving parts. I've now been educated in that. I understand what the pharmacy side and their advocates internally are trying to achieve. I know what my patient needs, what my patient's provider is aiming for. But now I can connect all these people. I know what the heck they're talking about. I know who to ask for. And I think as an advocate, that's something I always try to impress on to families and clients, is that we have to find the right person. We are not filing this appeal to, a fax machine. Somebody's going to look at it and make a determination. We have to find the right people. And so learning the process and who is who inside the companies that are these ghosts on the hill. it makes a huge difference for families. Like if
Kind
what
of
I learned today
pulling back some of the veil and
yeah,
understanding what's all the mechanics going
right.
on.
And no one person manages the
Oh,
entire process.
yeah, it's very
right.
complicated.
And if a family doesn't have this knowledge, I mean, it turns into 3 or 4 full-time jobs answering letters and emails and phone calls from insurance for XYZ documentation. And so many times the provider will need to send over clinical information, and then they'll kick it back to the patient. Well, I already did once, so now you have to call. But if there's an advocate, or if there's these groups of advocates in different spaces that have the connections and the knowledge of the whole process,
Yeah.
we can connect the right people, and the right people on the job get it done.
That's actually what I was thinking was, so I stay very much in my lane. My lane is individual scholarships and raising support for families during major life moments, diagnosis. But what was really brilliant is this is not just a let's talk about things that are problemless. Like it's everybody wants to walk away and like with actual change. We're tired of no change, right? That's the whole point. Let's actually make change. And so now I know exactly who to send my rare disease person that's trying to get $100,000 worked like legislatively work too, because I know the person because I sat in the room with her at AdvocaSea.
Yeah.
So like that has been a game changer for me. And I think we're strongest in our lanes.
Yes.
And great advocates, great leaders, great smart people default to other people that are better at things than them when it's not their specialty, right? So like knowing that I had a brilliant woman running this meeting, Melissa, with a great strategy and knew when to cut us off actually too. And then I have this amazing woman who has like several doctorates in rare disease, and not like, no, I know exactly who to go to.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, there's action steps.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. And I'm so glad because I've been hearing all this stuff, and I'm an outsider to this, but I see that you guys are doing the hard work, and I can only hope that, the system gets better by the hard work that you guys are putting in on behalf of the patients, changing policy, changing procedures, influencing little bits here and there, because I know Melissa and Liz have always advocated for call a spade, but don't just complain. Let's talk about solutions.
Solutions, yeah.
So
Yeah.
and here we are creating these events. They're bringing people together, making actionable steps to have positive outcomes. And there's a lot of people that are doing that, and getting those people pushing in the same direction, right, can really start to move the ball.
Yeah, and I honestly felt like they were really good at saying, "Hey, enough. Like we've fluffed that up enough. Let's get to it. Where's the meat on that?" And we're like, "Oh, well, the meat is this. Okay, great. Next." And we're like really walking away with tangible things versus hearing the same problems at every conference you go to and every conversation you have with families and providers.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and educating me a little bit about this. I know we're at the end of the day. You guys are going to go to dinner and have pool time and have fun. So enjoy the getaway, enjoy the little retreat, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.